Well, hello and welcome to another video by Financial Ernie. This past week has been quite a roller coaster when it comes to the price of Bitcoin. A lot of Bitcoin bulls were hoping that it would go above 90,000 and continue upward for an all-time high. Unfortunately, it's been hovering around the low to mid 80s. We're going to take a look at the Bitcoin mining sector. We're going to be looking at the short interest percent with respect to free float for these Bitcoin miners. We're going to look at the entire sector as a whole, and then we're going to look at the top 5 most shorted Bitcoin miners. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, and starting out, I want to mention that this is going to be for the week ending March 14th. We're going to take a look at the entire Bitcoin mining sector. And when I say sector, I'm talking about these 15 companies here. The first thing I want to point out is going to be that last price. That column, you can see that all 15 companies did close green for the trading day on Friday. And when I say trading day, I'm talking about the end of trading day close, not after hours trading. Moving over into share short, short value, and short percent, these cells that are highlighted red means that the short interest percent with respect to that specific company's free float did get reduced compared to one trading day prior. So we're looking at Thursday compared to Friday trading day. And of course, the green ones would be the ones that the short interest percent did grow for those companies compared to Thursday versus Friday. And then there was one BTDR that did remain flat comparing Thursday to Friday in terms of short interest percent with respect to free float. And speaking of free float, you can see the yellow highlighted cells. Those are going to be the ones where the company's free float number did change when compared to 1 week prior. We are comparing it against March 9th. And moving over to the last column here, this free float value, this is going to be the value for each of these companies, and then we will be summing it up at the bottom. So let's take a look at the entire Bitcoin mining sector as a whole. You can see compared to 1 week prior, they did see a drop in free float value down there at $1.767 billion. So over $1.7 billion was wiped from these Bitcoin stocks compared to just 1 week prior. That is an 8.94% drop. That is because the price of Bitcoin did drop into the 70s and it hovered around $80,000 to $85,000 for the majority of the week. So the question is, will that lost value get added back this following trading week if the price of Bitcoin does begin to rally? I guess we'll have to wait and find out. But moving over in terms of short interest for this entire sector, you can see that the short interest with respect to free float for the entire Bitcoin mining sector did end up closing red. So there was a reduction in terms of free float value for the entire sector, but that did come at a loss to the sector at that $1.7 billion, as we mentioned. So I am wondering, will we see the short interest grow if that value does get brought back into this sector? We will have to wait and see. But before we do, let's take a look at the top 5 most shorted Bitcoin mining stocks for the week ending March 14th. Coming in at number 5 on our list is going to be Bit Digital. That is ticker symbol BTBT. They had a short interest percent with respect to free float of 22.46%. Taking a look 1 week prior, and we're comparing Thursday to Thursday here, they were at a 22.91%. Moving over into days to cover, it is at 1.89 days, and then jumping to utilization, it's sitting at 82.49%. And if you're new to utilization, let me explain that. This is going to be the number of shares shorted compared to the overall number of shares available on loan. Moving over into short score, that is at 69.48. And then taking a look at that live short interest data with respect to free float, this is for that Friday trading period. It closed at 22.41%, so a reduction in short interest percent with respect to free float for BTBT. And then if you want to take a look at price action, is it going to be on the bottom left? You're going to be able to look at that for the next 4 companies as well. But before we move on, let's take a look at the number of shares still available. All right, and looking at Interactive Brokers shorts availability, you can see shares available last reported at 3.6 million with a cost to borrow at 0.49%. And coming in at number 4 on our list is going to be Mara Holdings. That is ticker symbol MARA. They had a short interest with respect to free float at 24.71% compared to 1 week prior, it was at 24.66%. Moving over to days to cover, currently at 2.11 days, and utilization sitting at 83.95%. The short score for Mara is at 73.63. Moving down into live short interest with respect to free float, this is going to be for that Friday trading period. It is at 24.81%. So an increase on short interest percent with respect to free float for Mara. And taking a look at the Interactive Broker shorts availability, last reported shares available at 3.8 million with a cost to borrow at 0.48%. And coming in at number 3 on our list is going to be RIOT Platforms, that is ticker symbol RIOT. They had a short interest with respect to free float at 25.59%. Comparing 1 week prior, it was at 24.73%. Moving over to days to cover, currently at 2.71 days, and utilization sitting at just 53.07%. Moving down into live short interest with respect to free float, this is going to be for that Friday trading period, and this is the Ortex estimate, comes in at 25.59%. So a decrease in short interest percent of free float for RIOT. And taking a look at Interactive Broker shorts availability, last reported shares available at 3.7 million with a cost of borrow at 0.44%. And coming in at number 2 on our list is TeraWulf. That is ticker symbol WULF. They almost took top spot, but we'll talk about that company in just a minute. First thing, let's look at short interest percent with respect to free float. Came in at 28.69%. This will be for that Thursday trading period. Looking back 1 week prior, it was at 27.19%. So an increase on short interest percent compared to the week prior. Looking at the days to cover, currently at 1.99 days, and utilization sitting at 61.35%. Short score for TeraWulf is at 67.93. Jumping down to Friday's live short interest with respect to free float, this is going to be that estimated Friday information. It is at 28.95%. So an increase on short interest with respect to free float for TeraWulf. And Interactive Broker shorts availability, last reported shares available at 3.7 million with a cost to borrow at 0.79%. And coming in at number 1 on our list, this is for, I believe, a 3rd or 4th week in a row. It is CleanSpark. That is ticker symbol CLSK. They had a short interest with respect to free float at 29.34% for that Thursday trading. Looking back 1 week prior, it was at 28.17%. So they did have an increase on short interest percent with respect to free float for 1 week prior. Moving over into days to cover, it is at 3.14 days, and utilization sitting at a high 80.14%. Moving over into short score, it's at 73.18. And then taking a look at the live short interest data for CleanSpark, this is going to be that estimated as of Friday. It's sitting at 29.11%. So a slight decrease in short interest percent for CleanSpark. And Interactive Broker shorts availability, last reported shares available at 2.9 million with a cost to borrow at 0.56%. And just to remind you all, at the end of this trading week, we could see some price action changes for CleanSpark. They will be getting added to the S&P 600 Small Cap Index Fund. That is going to happen before the trading day starts on March 24th. So be paying attention to them and their short interest at the end of this week. I'll, of course, be covering all of these stocks again at the end of the trading week. All right, and that about wraps it up for me, folks. Hope you enjoyed this quick update on sector overview for these Bitcoin mining stocks, their short interest with respect to free float. We did see a significant amount of value being wiped out of these Bitcoin miners this past week. We did see a slight drop in short interest percent with respect to free float for them. I am hoping to see a rebound in both price of Bitcoin as well as these miners as we start this next week. None of this is financial advice. It's only for information purposes only. But if you did like the video, consider giving it a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Make sure to hit that notification on button so that you get my latest videos when they get released. And drop a comment and let me know your thoughts about this coming up trading week for these Bitcoin mining stocks. Love to get that feedback from you all. And with all that said, hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one.